Meet Christopher Langan, IQ of 195, higher than Einstein. He spent decades working as a bouncer. Now meet Robert Oppenheimer. He tried to poison his university tutor and still went on to build the atomic bomb and change the world. Why did one genius reshape history while the other faded into obscurity? It wasn't talent, and it wasn't hard work. The self-made genius is a lie. Today, we're dismantling it. Here is the hidden, four-step blueprint to anomalous success. Let's go. Chapter 1. The Grind Illusion. Why solo practice is making you worse. Picture a kid learning to ride a bike. He goes out every single day. Pedals hard, falls down, gets back up, falls again. Repeats the same wobble, the same crash, the same mistake, for 6 months straight. At the end of 6 months, he is very good at falling off bikes. That is what most people call the grind. You've heard of the 10,000-hour rule. Malcolm Gladwell made it famous. The idea that 10,000 hours of practice makes you world-class. And millions of people took that idea and ran with it, alone, in their room, grinding in a vacuum, repeating the same mistakes on loop. But here's what people missed. Gladwell himself later clarified, 10,000 hours is roughly 10 years of dedicated practice. 10 years. You cannot sustain 10 years of that kind of commitment without a community around you, without parents, partners, mentors, peers holding you up while you go all in on your craft. You cannot do it alone. Full stop. But there's a second layer that's even more important. Time spent is useless without deliberate practice. Think of it like driving a car. You could drive 10,000 miles blindfolded. You would crash immediately. What makes driving useful is keeping your eyes open, seeing the road, getting real feedback, correcting in real time. That's deliberate practice. Deliberate practice has 3 requirements. 1. A deeply knowledgeable mentor or coach in your corner. 2. Constantly pushing yourself past your current limits, which means expecting failure, not avoiding it. 3. Immediate, detailed feedback on every rep. Without all 3, you're just a kid falling off a bike and calling it training. The instant cure for this is find your feedback mirror. Pick one specific skill you're working on right now. This week, not next month, this week, ask a mentor, coach, or ruthlessly honest peer to review your work. Get specific, actionable criticism. Then stop. Do not practice again until you have fully integrated that feedback into your next rep. 1 round of sharp feedback beats 100 hours of blind repetition. If this is hitting close to home, smash the like button. Let's keep going. So you've found a mentor and you're practicing with precision. But what if I told you that hyper-focusing on your main skill right now might actually be destroying your chances of becoming world-class? Chapter 2. The Child Prodigy Trap. Why starting early is not the point. Imagine a chef who only ever eats pizza, every single day. Pizza for breakfast, pizza for lunch, pizza for dinner. He becomes an incredible pizza maker, but hand him a wok and some vegetables, completely lost. That is what early hyper-specialization looks like, and our entire culture is obsessed with it. We celebrate the 10-year-old chess prodigy, the 14-year-old Olympic gymnast, the kid who chose their career path in middle school and never looked back. We tell ourselves, if I'm not a master by 25, I'm already behind. Here's what the data actually says. Researchers analyzed over 34,000 adult top performers, Nobel laureates, world-class musicians, elite athletes at the absolute peak of their fields, and they found something that turned conventional wisdom completely upside down. The kids who were exceptional early and the adults who were exceptional later were almost entirely different people. Read that again. Early bloomers rarely become world-class adults. The top adults had something else, something called a search and match phase. They spent their early years sampling widely, different sports, different instruments, different subjects, different ways of thinking. And through that sampling, they discovered where their unique combination of talents fit best. More importantly, that cross-domain exposure built what researchers call enhanced learning capital. It's like compound interest for your brain. When you practice tennis, it teaches your brain to track fast-moving objects. When you play chess, it builds pattern recognition. When you paint, it rewires your spatial reasoning. Then, when you finally commit to your main domain, whether that's coding, business, music, or medicine, you arrive with a brain that sees connections others simply can't see. You bring a Swiss Army knife to a room full of people holding a single blade. Stop treating your career like a single oak tree you must plant immediately. Treat it like a greenhouse. Test multiple soils. Find out what thrives. Then plant the final seed. The fastest way out is schedule a cross-training hour. This weekend, 1 hour. One completely different hobby, sport, or intellectual pursuit outside your main domain. If you're a programmer, draw. If you're an athlete, write. If you're a writer, build something with your hands. Feed your brain varied inputs. Watch what it does with them. Now, you're sampling broadly, learning deeply, practicing deliberately, but there's a silent killer lurking in the wings, one that takes out nearly 70% of high achievers just as they're about to break through. Chapter 3. The Hustle Culture Burnout, the lie that's rewiring your brain. Imagine your phone battery. Every morning it starts at 100%. Every call, every app, every notification drains it. Now imagine you never plug it in to charge. You just keep using it, running it lower and lower. Eventually, it doesn't just die. The battery itself degrades. It can't hold a full charge anymore, even after you finally plug it in. That is what hustle culture does to your brain. Somewhere along the way, we started confusing exhaustion with dedication. Sleeping 4 hours became a badge of honor. Answering emails at midnight became going the extra mile. Taking a day off became something you had to apologize for. The research on high achievers is brutal on this point. The mental load is constant. The pressure is unrelenting. The result? Severe sleep disturbances, cascading cognitive decline, and career-ending burnout right when you're on the verge of your breakthrough. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Champions don't improvise recovery. They schedule it with the same precision as training. An Olympic sprinter doesn't just train hard, they build mandatory rest into the program. They periodize their recovery. They treat sleep, downtime, and restoration as performance inputs, not luxuries. When you skip rest, you're not working harder than your competitors. You're degrading your hardware while they're recharging theirs. You are the phone that never gets plugged in. Your immediate fix: implement a technology curfew. Starting tonight, all screens go off 1 hour before bed. No exceptions. No, just one more email. This isn't doing less. It's actively repairing your brain for tomorrow's performance. Your focus, creativity, and decision-making all run on sleep. Protect it like the competitive edge it is. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of no-fluff performance science. There's a lot more coming. You are now rested, deliberate, and cross-trained. But the final piece of the outlier puzzle requires you to do something that human psychology is explicitly, biologically wired to avoid. Chapter 4. The Algorithm Conformity. Why fitting in is killing your edge. Picture a massive cruise ship. Thousands of people. Same music, same buffet, same deck chairs facing the same direction. Comfortable, safe, predictable. Now picture a tiny sailboat veering off alone into the unknown ocean. Every explorer who ever discovered a new continent was on the sailboat, not the cruise ship. Right now, we are living in the era of the new conformity. Social media algorithms feed you a curated, narrowed version of reality. AI writing tools generate content that sounds like every other piece of content. The same viral ideas, the same takes, the same formats, recycled endlessly across every platform. And because we're all consuming the same inputs, we're all producing the same outputs. When everyone reads the same 10 articles, everyone has the same 10 ideas. True outliers have always broken this pattern, not because they were trying to be edgy or contrarian, but because they were internally driven. They followed curiosity into weird corners. They developed unconventional perspectives. They embraced what made them strange, rather than sanding it down to fit in. Your weird background is not a liability. It's your competitive advantage. The programmer who spent 3 years doing improv comedy sees product design differently than every other programmer in the room. The doctor who used to be a chef understands patient compliance in ways medical school never taught. The marketer who grew up on a farm thinks about growth completely differently. Your unique combination of experiences is your moat, but only if you protect and feed it, instead of letting the algorithm homogenize it into nothing. Nonconformity isn't about being difficult. It's a tool for seeing opportunities the herd is entirely blind to. You cannot chart new territory if you refuse to leave the cruise ship. The quickest way to break this loop is media diet diversification. Today, swap 30 minutes of algorithmic scrolling for a physical book from a different century, or a deep dive into a completely niche topic you know nothing about. Read history, read philosophy, read a manual on beekeeping. It doesn't matter. Feed your brain unregulated, varied, unexpected inputs. Watch how it starts producing original outputs. The only blueprint that actually works. Let's bring it all together. The self-made genius is a myth. Always was. The outliers, the ones who actually change things, are not built from raw talent or solo grind. They are forged by four things. 1. They lean into their community and practice with deliberate precision, not blind repetition. 2. They sample widely before specializing, building a brain that sees connections others miss. 3. They protect their recovery with the same intensity as their work, because rest isn't weakness, it's ammunition. 4. They have the courage to stay weird in a world that rewards sameness, and they use that weirdness to explore territory the crowd can't even see. That's the blueprint. Now here's the only question that matters. Which one of these 4 loops are you going to start today? Are you setting a technology curfew tonight? Are you booking that cross-training hour this weekend? Are you finally going to seek out the brutal, specific feedback you've been avoiding? Drop it in the comments. Commit to it publicly. That single act of accountability changes everything. And if this video shifted something for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like it, subscribe, because we're just getting started. The Outlier version of you isn't waiting for more talent. It's waiting for a better map. You now have the map. Go.